Once again to Huckins on Film. This is Kyle Huckins, and a little while ago I just got finished watching Nazis at the Center of the Earth. Or as a fellow on a message board I frequently called it, Wolfenstein the movie. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's Castle Wolfenstein the movie. And it's great. Seriously, it is a fun movie. This is the Asylum's answer to Iron Sky, which I've not yet seen, but I'm definitely going to see it, mostly because it's got Udo Kier playing the head Nazi in it, and it's fucking Udo Kier playing a Nazi. I don't think you're going to mess that up. But enough about Iron Sky. Nazis at the Center of the Earth. It's a little hard to describe, I've got to be honest. It's like nothing. Actually, it does kind of remind me of, I would say, a bit of Hellboy, the first Hellboy movie, or the most recent Captain America, where the Nazis have all kinds of crazy super science on their side. I know if you frequent TV tropes, it's called Stupid Jetpack Hitler. This could be called Stupid Jetpack Hitler the movie. In fact, since that title's not taken, I'm kind of thinking I should bang out a script, shouldn't I? Because who wouldn't want to look up the screen and see Stupid Jetpack Hitler? I wonder if I could get Bruno Gans to reprise his role from Downfall. Probably not. Probably for the best, actually. But yes, this is a movie where, after their defeat, the Nazis managed to retreat to the center of the Earth as opposed to the moon in Iron Sky. And first of all, the cast is pretty solid. I mean, they're not great. The best character in this is, hang on, I forgot his name, Dr. Adrian Reinstad, not Reichstag, which I originally thought was his name, which actually would have been kind of cool. Kind of messed up, but especially given how he went out, but that's another story. And the main reason he's so awesome is he's played by Jake Busey. Now, you know that Jake is the son of Gary Busey. And Gary Busey is one of those guys, I'll watch him in any movie. Because I know he's not going to half-ass it. No matter what the role is, he's going to sink his teeth into it and give it all he's got. You know, you're never going to get a deadpan performance out of him. It's always, wow, Gary was just, he went for it. And Jake very much follows his father's lead in this. He's a fun character in this. He's, you know, as is with the Busey brood are prone to do, it's kind of, he's pretty over the top at times. But who cares? An over the top Busey, the best kind. Oh, sorry. So, yeah, if you're into... Also, it's an Asylum film. There's a lot of CGI. There's tons of it. And most of it's not very good. But you know what? It's an Asylum film. You knew that going in. So, you have no one to blame but yourselves. Anyway, to really get into the movie, I'm gonna... Oh, and I watched this on Netflix streaming, so I can't discuss the DVD extras because I don't have the DVD yet. That's going to change because this movie was an absolute blast. This might have been more ludicrous than the Asylum's Sherlock Holmes, and that had Sherlock Holmes fighting Iron Man, who had created a mechanical dragon and a mechanical T-Rex. Because why the fuck not? And these are the kind of Asylum movies that I enjoy. The ones where the premise is just like, okay, that's completely nuts. let's crazy it up a bit more and just see what happens. You know, maybe they're not good movies, but they are fun movies. And really, that's the whole point of most movies, is to entertain. And these movies entertain, because they're just completely batshit. I'm not complaining, because, like I said, I had a lot of fun with this. Anyway, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of the movie a little bit now. There's a team of researchers up in, or actually down in Antarctica, and you don't know what the hell they're researching. The movie doesn't get into it. It doesn't matter. They're there. That's another thing I love about asylum movies. Yeah, there's plenty of plot holes, but instead of trying to cover them up and making things worse, they just keep on marching past and think, well, no one will care anyway. In a movie like this, I'm fine with those. And two of the scientists discover... Actually, I skipped the prologue, but honestly, it's not really important. It just has Dr. Joseph Mengele and a bunch of Nazis escaping an Allied assault, including a fun scene where Mengele takes out a tank with a Panzerfaust. And I gotta say, the guy who plays Mengele, he's Christopher K. Johnson. The man enjoyed his work in this movie. That's all I've got to say. Is he definitely said, wait, I'm playing Joseph Mengele trying to keep the Nazi race going by performing all kinds of fucked up science experiments? Yeah. Okay. One of those, it's so ludicrous, how could you not have fun with it? Anyway, scientists they're doing some drilling this one part to do something. Again, what they're doing, no one knows. And it doesn't matter. And they hit something. Well, it's fairly close to the surface. They begin scraping away the ice and whatever. And it's a bit of metal with an iron cross on it. Next thing you know, a bunch of dudes in gas masks in trench coats with swastika armbands are right there. And they take them prisoner. Well, they're working out of this nearby complex, which is pretty sophisticated for something they just kind of threw together as a base camp in Antarctica. It doesn't look at all like a location they rented out to use for future scenes in the movie, and they just used that room and said, well, that's the base. Not at all. Never. Anyway, they lose contact. Well, the people at the research base, they gather their resources, and they head out to look for them. And they end up finding the Nazis. Or they end up finding where the Nazis went down into the center of the earth, and they follow them. And even though it's underneath Antarctica, it's actually a very temperate climate, very bright for some reason, considering it's underground, but again, we're just going to ignore that. And there's also buildings all over the place. I was like, okay, I'm underground, but there's buildings here. You gotta check this out. Well, they check it out. Out of this one building, it's pretty empty. They come in a bit, and then a shit ton of Nazis come in, including Mengele himself. Well, they know they're boned, just like their friends. And then Jake Busey as Reichstad looks at Mengele, throws him the one-armed salute, and says, Heil Hitler. Yep, Reichstad's in league with the Nazis. Yeah, once I saw Jake Busey's going full Nazi, I'm like, okay. movie, you've got me, I'm in. And from there, there's a confrontation, a bunch of back and forth about how the researchers don't want to work with the Nazis. Mengele looks at one of the researchers, realizes he's Jewish, pulls out a gun, shoots him, and this little blue bolt comes out and makes him disappear. Yeah, the Nazis have phasers. That's not a good sign. Nazis should never have phasers. On the other hand, the total nerd in me is like, oh wow, this just got so much better. They've got phasers. And the Jewish researcher disappears in a blue CGI ball. Because, you just gotta deal with the phaser. What else are you gonna do? Well, they're trying to assist the Nazis with their research. Or, sorry, scene I forgot about. They're talking to Mengele, they're talking about how they found his bones in South America in the 70s. And Mengele is talking about how he suffered from arthritis and osteoporosis. He solved these problems by replacing his skeleton with metal. Yeah, this movie's about as medically accurate as the surgical scene from Prometheus. And not quite as funny, but it's still pretty damn entertaining. So yeah, he just says it, and then he pulls back part of his head, and you see the metal under. It's like, reminds me of Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre too. Hey, if you're going to steal from that movie, more power to you, because that's another classic as far as I'm concerned. From there, the researchers are imprisoned, but they decide they're going to help the Nazis. They're going to do what they can to survive. Hopefully somebody will come find them and take care of this little pocket of Nazism in the deep below the Earth's crust. It's not the best plan, but honestly, do you have a better one? I don't. Well, one of the researchers, some of them are, there's a whole debate, like, do they just throw in with them completely, or do they just pretend to while attempting to figure out a way to escape? Well, a few of them are trying to undermine it, and one of their colleagues rats them out. Leads to two of her female colleagues later being killed. This will come back into play later because she's not feeling so good about that. And of course there's all kinds of medical experimentation going on. Especially some of the researchers have been skinned. You find out they're grafting the skin. Nazis are grafting their skin onto their own bodies because they're all around 100 and actually look pretty good for their age. Well, turns out they've been using the skin of younger people that they've been killing to replace their own. Because Reichstad met these guys about 10 years ago, so he'd actually been funneling people to them for about a decade. How you've been funneling people to Antarctica that then disappear for 10 straight years without anyone noticing. I got nothing. I've got nothing. But I don't care because this movie's just fun. In fact, when one of the prisoners has his face removed, it's one of the greatest bad CGI moments ever. Because clearly money is not on their side, and removing a face, it's a little difficult to do with practical effects. So I can let it slide, but it's typical Asylum grade CGI. And anyway, everything's continuing, trying to use stem cells in some kind of an experiment which they don't define right away, but it leads to a fun moment where they're testing out stem cells on the brain of one of the researchers, and it doesn't work and she dies. Mengele's reaction to this, because, okay, I'm very bad about this. They'd cut off the top of her skull and exposed her brain, kind of like Hannibal. Only this movie's not nearly as dumb. So that's how they did this. Mengele pulls the brain out of her head and throws it against the wall, and he's just screaming at Reichstad because this didn't work. And Reichstad mentioned something about stem cells. And his girlfriend, Celia, who is the one who betrayed the other female scientists, she throws up after seeing this. Reichstad's shocked because she's never been the squeamish type. Well, it turns out she's pregnant. Well, fetal stem cells are apparently better than whatever they were using. Yep. Reichstad performs an abortion on his own girlfriend to get these fetal stem cells. And the way it's done, it basically looks like he sticks a wetback between her legs. That's the only way I can describe it. It's one I was like, wow. Wow, movie. Wow, didn't think you were going there. But they do because, hey, it's about Nazis at the center of the earth. Good taste need not apply here. That's just one I was like, wow, not even Bruno Mattei or Sergio Garrone would do that. Then again, they might not have thought of it. Because restraint was not a Mattei thing, that was for sure. Could just be he didn't think of it. Anyway, the fetal stem cells do work for this ultimate experiment. And you know what this experiment is. You've known all along, you just didn't want to admit it. That's right. They resurrect Hitler. Only with a twist. They can only resurrect his head. So his body, it's a mech. That's right, this movie's got Mecha Hitler. I will never get tired of that phrase. But yeah, they introduce fucking Mecha Hitler. Mecha Hitler. Just think about that. Mecha Hitler. It's like Mecha Godzilla, but it's fucking Hitler. That's so much worse. Although he is much smaller than Mecha Godzilla. You know, he's definitely larger than the average human, but not much bigger. But he's a mech, so of course he's armed to the teeth. Because if you're going to put the severed head of Hitler on a mech, why wouldn't you do that? And he comes out and he addresses the troops. And one of the things the movie actually did a good job with was, with the exception of Mengele, who can speak English, most of the Nazis in this actually speak German. Luckily, subtitles are provided, because I do not. Other than a few choice words I could get my face bashed in. But for a production of this scale and budget, they really made every effort they could. They could. I'm very much impressed. I got to give them the credit where it's due. Anyway, the gentleman playing Hitler, whose name just give me a second. I can't remember names for shit. Ah, yes. It's played by James Maxwell. And he gets into Busey mode because they told him, yeah, look, we want you to play the head of Mecha Hitler. And he just said, oh fuck, how can you not have fun with that? that's another one of those, you just gotta throw yourself in body and soul, because how often are you gonna get to play fucking Mecha Hitler? Never. And, it's very much your over-the-top crazy Hitler performance that you get from really almost every portrayal of Hitler on film. That's why I love the movie Downfall so much, as Bruno Ganz actually brings it down several notches. Very, very rare thing to see. Sorry, I know it's itchy like a bastard. But yes. He addresses the troops, and the troops are all way behind him. What's really funny is, for the most part, the troops are all wearing gas masks in this. But when they lose them, remember how I was talking about how Mengele had been replacing his own dead flesh with new flesh? So are the other Nazis. Because there are some ferocious looking... I mean, they're not zombies. But man, they look the part. It's actually very impressive makeup. They look like hell. Yeah, they're just... Ugh. No, they're still alive, but it's like they're falling apart, and it's really well done. They do not look good at all. In the sense that they shouldn't look good, not that just bad makeup. No, this wasn't slap a little paint on them and tell everyone there's... No, these... They look like they're falling apart. Anyway, one of the researchers attempts to escape, and the Nazis are about to gun him down, and Hitler tells them no. And then Mecha Hitler takes off so he can kill him personally. Which he does with one of the worst CGI beheadings I've ever seen. Hey, it's an asylum flick. You've got to expect these things. Anyway, after that, the Nazis head into one of their buildings, which then takes off because it's pretty much one of the saucers from Independence Day. Now with more swastikas. Yep. Then they're going to attack North America. Now, early in the movie, there's a confrontation between Reichstad and one of the head guys, because he had snuck flesh-eating bacteria into the project, or into the complex, and the overseer was pretty pissed off about this. Turns out the Nazis had been experimenting with this flesh-eating bacteria, which they were going to fill bombs with, and then drop them on non-Aryan nations. Yep. We have biowarfare. And the few researchers who are left are they're trapped on this saucer. They're trying to get out. They're trying to stop Hitler. They don't quite know what they're trying. They're a little out of their league here, to be honest. So I was fine with them acting that way, because they're not trained for this. They're in way over their heads. They're making it up as they go. Anyway, Reichstad and Cillier end up on the bridge. And there's actually one confrontation between the two remaining doctors and Mecha Hitler going on. It's actually really funny, because it's one of those standoffs like, okay, that killed 2 minutes and accomplished nothing. Because the female doctor sets her up for a heroic sacrifice of some kind, which doesn't come to pass. But it's like one of those... was supposed to lure Hitler into something to destroy him. Well, she gets saved from the heroic sacrifice, but whatever it is, doesn't even hurt Hitler. It just annoys him and slows him down for a sec. Truly pointless scene, I've got to be honest, but whatever. Anyway, while this is going on, Cillier manages to carefully lift a stick grenade off of one of the Nazis. Those, those old potato mashers, it's the big stick with the grenade on the end, supposed to improve throwing it. Well, they're on the bridge when she grabs one, arms it. Her and Reichstad look at each other, realize what's going on, and they embrace, and it blows up the bridge. Saucer crashes into Antarctica. Because apparently it didn't get very far, even though it was attacked by British and Australian warplanes at one point. There's a whole lot of, just go with it. Like I said, it's not the most well-formed story on the planet. It's just a lot of fun. Anyway, we're down to the two doctors. I'd give you their names, but honestly, the heroes in this are the least interesting characters by far. I mean, the Nazis and Reichstag, all the fun characters are on the evil side. The good guys are very bland and nondescript. I wasn't too into them. I mean, you're rooting for them because they're fighting Nazis, but they're not very charismatic heroes. I've got to be honest. Although one of them was played by an actress named Lylyn Bowden, who was just adorable. Again, not a very compelling character, but oh, she's very, very cute. Anyway, two doctors versus Mecha Hitler. The only weapon they have is one of them manages to get their hands on a thing of the flesh-eating bacteria. And during the fight, one of them manages to get it into this port on the suit, which goes up a tube that's been stuck up Hitler's nose for whatever reason. I guess to keep the brain nourished or whatever. And the flesh-eating bacteria goes up the tube, and his head dissolved. Hooray for Earth. And there's your movie. Like I said, it's not an Oscar winner by any stretch. On many levels, it's not even a good movie. But damn, it's fun. I wholeheartedly recommend this one. If you've got 90 minutes to kill, believe me, there are far worse things you can do than watch Nazis at the center of the earth. No. Yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Netflix. It's on Instant on there right now, so if you got the time, check it out. That's Kyle Huckins, fucking off.